Alright, good afternoon. Let me check my mic is working this time. Yep. So today we're going to do something very clever. We're going to be hiding loading screens in, I guess the level up screen. I need to think a little bit about how I want to do this. But yeah, basically I've started a little bit on this. So the current state, and yeah, I did a bit, but then my computer crashed, which isn't great. But yeah, so at the moment, or like before I started this, the way that it worked is you would start up a game and it would load the it would load the first group of enemies, and then every 5 minutes after you pick your artifacts, it's like something that happens every 5 minutes, we then enter a loading screen and load the next quarter until we've loaded them all. And that's not great. So the first thing we're going to do, just to sort of make sure everything works, and I did this earlier, so I guess I'm going to have to do it again. But so enemy spawners isn't a list. There is just a single enemy spawner. And we're just going to link to it. Yeah, so this is just a bit of code at the beginning when we start a match, showing that basically just loads everything in a loading screen. At the moment, enemy spawners should be just a single enemy spawner. Yeah, this is weird. Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. So what we want is at the top, around the top. Yeah, let's just have public enemy spawner. Simple. Because I had it before, like you'd have multiple, and that was setting it up for like maybe fighting more than one group of enemies at once. But yeah, we're not going to do it like that. So we're just going to have a single enemy spawner. So we're not instantiating any. It's set up in the scene already. And did I save before I did that? I did save before I did that. Good. I just lost a bit of code. Or actually I gained a bit of code that I had deleted, to be more accurate. So we're not creating any enemy spawners, right? We may have to do something like make the faction, because yeah, how do we know what faction this is going to be? So like all of that stuff where we set up. So new spawner.team is team. Yeah, so we need to carry this over somehow. I mean, we could simply like set up enemy spawner. We could quite simply just go, and this would change. Later on, I want to make it so that we can have more than one enemy team running at a time. So this would have to change. Like the enemy spawner team shouldn't have a team. It should spawn into a team, but it's not like the enemy spawner is locked to a team. But anyway, but this will just make it work for now, so I don't have to do a big refactoring. Okay, and so enemy spawner.faction should be that makes sense. And then if we were to do a setup where we had more than one enemy faction, we would just be like we would just do it in a different way. But for now, this should work. So enemy spawner.initialize waves. I mean, this is also kind of redundant in the way it works, where basically I'm quite happy just to put this in the start method. I think I did get this to work earlier. And this should be factions.humans.names. I feel like I definitely did this. Well, humans. Okay, yeah, so that's humans. That's orcs. Actions.undead. It's not black beans anymore, but we're focusing on what we need to change. Demon. Okay. Beans is like a reference to what it used to be. It used to be called like all about beans. Okay. So we begin, and we, depending on which faction this is, I guess actually we don't want faction on the spawner here. Like we shouldn't be doing that. So yeah, let's do a bit of refactoring then. Okay. Let's make this clean. So if character select, I think we just want character select dot enemy faction. Character select enemy hero dot faction. Because you don't choose an enemy faction, you choose an enemy hero. And of course they have a faction associated. Okay. Why is this one so much longer? Ah, I see, because I forgot this. Okay. And I am happy to put this basically in the start method. Do we have a start method? Do we have a start method? So where do we tell it to begin? So where's begin? Would have thought this would have had a start method. So do we do that? I suppose we do that in enemy spawner.begin. Okay, yeah. So I guess what we're doing here is we're setting up well, yeah, so for what we want to do here. Okay, we got this far. Okay, that's something. So enemy spawner.initialize waves and begin. Like that's just very wonky code, isn't it? We just want to say begin and that should do everything. So yeah, let's not use a start method, but let's just use begin because we don't need to keep those separate. So I'm just going to take everything in here. And this is basically where we create a list of enemies, and this isn't just a random order. This is like basically the order that you're likely to see the enemies appear. Right. So if character select, yeah, so that's that. We begin, set up our waves based on which faction we are, and then yeah, this would have to be that too. Like that. And then yeah, so it's a bit wonky, but I'm going to try and like tidy it piece by piece. It does feel very redundant to have two of these if statements. So really, actually, yeah, we can just pop these in here, right? That makes sense. If there's problems, we'll deal with them. But I do want the code to be cleaner. Obviously, when you make these things, it's like you end up doing all kinds of like weird shortcuts just to save yourself time in the moment. So you end up with some quite funky shaped code. But yeah, we can. Ideally, you don't make the funky shaped code. You make it properly the first time. But you know, as you're learning, as you're making indie games, you might get it a bit wrong. So we start coroutine. So yeah, we set up the enemies in a rough order that they'll appear. So that's important. Let me just pop in my head, how many enemies are we talking about here? And in the case of the undead, it would be slightly more, but we're talking 10. That makes sense. 10. I think orcs actually have fewer units and more weapons, but the standard is 10. And then 10 if you include the rogue. So there's 40 units that can appear. Okay. That's a nice easy number. Oh, 40 plus another 30, I think. Yeah. So we've got our tier 2, our combined units that you get by combining 2 other units. So we go 30, yeah, okay, so that's going to, and we don't have the first 10 versions of the upgraded units, basically, if that makes sense. We don't have Rathkin level 1. We just start with Rathkin level 2. Okay, so that's good. We have these lists of names, and this is horrible, the fact that we're using strings here, but it's what we have, and it's we'll change it if necessary. Right. And then we set up our common spawns interval and our rare interval, so we're just resetting those. I think these make more sense here, because we're like resetting these things, and there is more that's going to end up in there, but yeah, let's just clean up what we're looking at. Okay, so now let's deal with these. So we're not setting team 1.spawn point. So where would we set up the teams? I guess there'd be somewhere where we say team 1 equals this, team 2 equals that, and then we would get the team that we want to put it in like that. But for now, we could just go GM. .c. Or I think it's static. So team .c.team 1. And yeah, hopefully that won't mess me up too much. So team 1. And spawn points are associated with a team. Yeah, that's a bit funky, but that's fine. Okay. So if we do it like this, so we don't have initialize waves anymore. We just say begin, but we're gonna have to say begin sooner. Yeah, that is interesting actually. So we don't have that. Yeah, we just don't have that. Okay. We don't need that. I guess what we wanted was to have those waves initialized before we start this. So enemy spawner. Okay, so this is how we had it. And if we do it like this, so just forget about that for a second. If we have it like this, what this does, and we might have to actually go back to having initialized waves as a separate part, but okay, so start the match. And what I might do actually is just move this. I think this makes more sense actually. Let's move this into enemy spawner. Okay, and then we've got, yeah, this is the same. It's just this was a while, and so bear with me. Initialize enemy hero, yeah, that's fine. But then we can go enemy spawner, and this can exist in here. So after we've set up our dudes, but before we start the coroutine, I guess, yeah, we'll have to. We might have to like go back to the old spaghetti. Let's see. Okay, so for each name in enemy, so we have a list of. So let me explain how I had this before. I had this as wave 1, wave 2, as you can see the comment, wave 3, wave 4, and they were adding to a different lists, and then we would load those lists, and those would be the lists that we'd load every 5 minutes. So we're instantiating a bunch of the enemy characters rather than instantiating them and then deleting them as they're needed. We make object pools, and we just instantiate a bunch at the beginning. And what this should make it do, can we do that? Yeah. And I'm quite happy to take any code out of GM, because GM's a bit flooded, but this is enemy spawner stuff. I think it's related, so I think it's better suited to be here, even if we have to reference that. gm.c.max units. Okay, I think we can just use that. I don't think that costs anything really. Like that. So yeah, it's a bit of refactoring here. And then, yeah, this is a gm.c.initialize object pool. So what's this doing? This is, we choose which character. And then, so we make sure it matches the name of the string. And then we instantiate that character. So we instantiate a bunch of that character, put them in the right place and like set them up basically. So we do all the character setup. And if they have a death rattle, as in if they have an explosion when they die, we also need to instantiate that explosion. And yeah, so with this, what this should do is when we, and what's all this? Oh dear, okay, yeah, so it would be nice. Why is that only coming up here? Okay, this is GM. I see. Yeah, let's just do the full. Let's just reference safe load.currentprofile.maxUnits because I don't think it's expensive to like reference that script. I don't think that's because it's not something that happens. It's something that should all just happen at the loading screen at the beginning, so it doesn't need to be like mega performant. And I don't think that's much of a save anyway. It's just simpler to reference the max units. So yeah, so for each enemy in enemies, and if we do it like this, what this will do, and I'm just going to test that actually, I'm not going to uncomment that yet. What this will do is this will load all of the enemies once you start the game. But there's a bit more setup to do first. If we can compile, please. Thank you. Okay, yeah. Got some errors, but I think... Okay, yeah, no, we need to fix these first. So player controller. I'm quite happy just to delete this for now. This was testing out making a pack, but we don't need that right now. And so yeah, what this will do is it will load all of the enemies at the beginning of the match. So what we'll have is an overly long load screen at the beginning. But I just want to test that that's the case because I'm worried about like the order of things here. I'm worried that it won't because we start the coroutine. It's going to potentially. That could potentially mess with things, so I just want to test that. I don't think it will actually, but it might. And yeah, of course we need to... GM no longer needs that reference to scenery. I know this to be true. Because scenery is no longer kept here. Let's double check that. And the easy way to double check that is, so we have scenery. Just noticing... We have a reference to something that we don't need here. And we'll know if we don't need it, if there's no bugs that come up, no compile errors. No bits of red. Yeah, see, no bits of red. So that hasn't changed anything. And we have our enemy spawner here. Which I'm not even sure we're referencing there anymore, but that's fine. Let's just one thing at a time. And I will actually just do a truly organic start from the title screen. Okay. So what we expect to see is an overly long loading screen. So go mustering fighters and it will sit around here for quite a while. Like, this is obviously way too long. People are going to be thinking, did my computer crash? Even if we did make it so that you could see the bar filling, people will be like, this is a bit of a long loading screen. But there you go. So that should be, and we can see here, And it doesn't seem to have caused any issues, so that's really nice actually. My changing the order of the script and tidying it up a bit hasn't ruined its functionality, so that's good. So then we go into enemy container, and what we should see is a giant heap of units. We've got all the orcs that you could ever want to see. Right. Now, we look at this bit of code. So that's how far I got before like my computer crashed, basically. Thereabouts. Okay. So, rather than loading all of the enemies at the start, I think all I want to do is, in fact, I think I'll actually just copy this because this is all the same, and this needs to be a bit more sophisticated anyway. But yeah, let's just use this just to get those little changed references. Okay, so what this will do. So we created this number enemies loaded indexed, which starts at 0, which basically tells us like how many of the enemies have we loaded. And what this will do is at the beginning, so when you load the game, so while we're generating the scenery and setting up the game and all of that, we're just going to load the first 4 enemies. So that'll be like, and that'll be the first 4 as it pertains to this list. So Archer, Goblin, Archer, Firestarter, and Zapper. I think I wanted to change Zapper to just have ER at the end, and Firestarter too. But let's leave that for now. Right. Okay. So, enemy name. Where do we get that from? Okay, for each string, enemy name and enemies. No. Okay. So here's where we put. Yeah.
Is it okay if I hover?
Yeah, I'm sure it's fine. Okay. Enemies, and here we say enemies loaded index. Loaded enemies, enemies loaded. That doesn't matter. Okay, so enemies loaded index. So that should point to. So that'll be while that's 0, that'll be Goblin. While that's 2, that'll be Ranger. While that's 3, will be Firestarter, and so on. And then we initialize character containers. So this is a nice bit of code that, because it's not as simple as just instantiating it. Like you have to do some stuff. You have to kind of like make a copy of the original character, and yeah, it does this construct character thing. So it's a fair bit to it, but that's all clean and tidy. We just need to ask for that. Okay, bear with me. So that should load the first 4. Okay, but what about the rest of them? And this is where we have a good think about that. So when do we want to try and load units? There was one thing I thought of, which is basically load them as they're instantiated. So as they're required by this code, like if it doesn't exist, and just create one and add that to the pool. And if they die, then you can use that one before having to instantiate a new one. I think that's fine. But I think I am actually going to stick to the plan and just kind of load them in chunks, but kind of hide these chunks. So one good place to hide them, I think, is wherever we're leveling up. So we go... So we've got this, and this should be kept somewhere. Yeah, we'll so yeah, it's interesting. So I want to do something like void load load wave. And we don't need any stuff in the brackets here, because I think we can just go that loads the wave. And do we lose any references there? Does that all work? Yeah. And then this handles that. And then basically we can have one. We can even put this here. right? So each time we load a wave, we're like, so each time we call this bit of code, we load like the next unit in a bunch, and progress, like, so we can keep track of what we've loaded and what we haven't. And basically we want it to load like before. So one thing we can do, and let's make this, can we make this public static? I don't think we can, because then we'd have to make some of the things static. I hate that. I wish it was just much easier to just have things that could be accessed by any script. So let's just make this public, because we can access it like that. Okay. And then over where we level up, so this is like, where does this go? Level up UI. Like basically whenever we level up, show level up. Yeah, so that's when we make this. And we could put it here. So I reckon if I put enemy spawner dot load wait dot we need gm dot c dot enemy spawner dot load wave, and what that will do is it will just load the next set of enemies that will be needed. The hope is that this will that this will always be further along, right? And so we need to do something else. We need to say if enemies, so don't do it if so if enemies loaded index is greater than enemies dot count. Why did that not? Okay, so don't do it. So we'll just do a return. Don't do it. We've already loaded all enemies. And I need to make sure, and I don't know if that's going to be enemies.count -1, because the index starts at 0 and the count starts at 0. So yeah, that should be fine. I think that works. I think that makes sense. Okay. So if enemies loaded index is greater than, it's either going to be greater than or equal to, basically. And we'll find out because, like, we'll have a bug when we try to load the last enemy. Like, when we try to spawn it, it'll be like, oh, you haven't set that up yet. Okay. So far, so good. Yeah, so if we're commenting, let's comment. So, load, instantiate the character, and then instantiate their death rattle. Okay. Right. So then every time we level up, and we're going to level up like more than, so we're going to need to do, 70 of these before the game is up, because there are 70 different types of units. A lot of them are kind of reskins. I'm not trying to oversell the game, but it's basically, yeah, there's 70 units, 70 different things that need loading. Shit, I could be even cleverer. This I've just realised what I could potentially do is construct character. This could like use the old goblins, but I don't know if that makes much difference. No, let's stick to how we're doing it. Because yeah, basically instead, like if we're never going to see Goblin 0 again, we're never going to see a level 1 Goblin again. We don't need, like we can use their, we can instead of deleting them or just having them there unused, we could use their object and turn them into a different character. But then I would add that I'm not set up to do that. So anyway, side tangent finished. So we're going to need some checks and balances, and I feel like probably the quickest way to find them is just actually just run into them. So just bounce into those walls. So what I mean by that is what happens if for some reason the player is like actively avoiding all of the level ups, all of the experience, and yet somehow still survives. And therefore we end up with like somehow they still survive, and then because we're not loading waves, they end up loading waves that don't exist. So we'll have to put in things like, if you try and make a unit that hasn't been kind of set up yet, then set them up, even if that means that we kind of lose a few frames for the player. When things are working as intended, the wave will load whenever we level up. And so what that should be is like, as the level up screen appears, there'll just be like a brief moment of, just a very brief moment of like the game stopping for a second while we load. Okay. One thing we could do is make this a coroutine where we basically wait between each enemy. Although, yeah. Initialize character container. Like, make this a coroutine so that it doesn't try and do it all at once. We just put a few yield return nulls, and then that basically effectively makes it like it's working in the fixed update. As in, it won't slow down the game to make it happen. It will just happen once it's got like the processing power to do so. It won't eat the processing it won't start the game basically, but it will just happen a bit slower. So instantiate the characters. Yeah. I mean, so what could happen? I kind of just want to see what happens, because basically we just need to set it up like this is going to work, and level up UI is gonna load the next run of units. I'm pretty confident about that. There is one thing we can do where we say if and so we need a int number to spawn equals that. What's wrong with that? Make that an int then, I suppose. So we spawn a number of these. The thing is, for some of the characters, we don't actually need that many. And I did actually have this set up before, but I lost it. I could go into my hard drive. Actually, should I do that? Rather than writing it again. So let me just see if I can find that code from a backup. So bear with me. Just going to go through my backups. So projects, Army of Survivors, assets, scripts, and I think it was actually in GM. Is that not? Where is GM? Where is GM in this version? Yeah. I wish it wouldn't attempt. I feel like it shouldn't attempt to compile while in play mode. It should wait till you leave play mode to compile. I don't know why it shouldn't be like that, but yeah. And also, if our reference to SFX here in GM is not there, then we can also delete that. I think. Random side quest. SFX. So if we're not using that. And I just wanted to see, what did I want to see? Where is GM? Where do we keep it? That is just in assets. It's not even in the scripts folder. Lovely. Okay. Assets. I'm very untidy with my scripts because I just sort of always just find them by searching anyway. So I'll open this as a... I think that's gonna... No, don't open it in that. I thought it was gonna open in Notepad. No, go away. Go away. I hate all of this stuff. Just let me use the app. Open with Notepad, please. Right. And we had a bit of code. Can I do search here? We want... what was it? Buffer. Yeah. Yeah, so here was our more sophisticated version. So I'm just going to grab that. Yeah, and God, we had... yeah, this was something that I did to... So if it's a buffer, or if it's any kind of buffer, then we don't need as many of them. Although here it seems that I've got it. Yeah, that's weird. Okay, let's get rid of that. I've kind of lost where I pasted this, so let me just do that again. So let's just clean that up. There we go. Okay, so down here, I'm just going to put all this down here. So this is death rattle stuff. This is loading screen stuff, which we don't want. If it's a buffer, we only need half of them. So then in that case, we would say number to spawn equals like that. Oh, and do we have to have round to int, for God's sake? I feel like that's... yeah, okay. Maybe I should just make number to spawn a float. Okay. I look absolutely locked in. Oh, thank you. I have seen myself like while I'm coding, and like every time I've looked back at a picture of myself, I'm like, I look like a fucking psychopath. But yeah, that is the coding face. Look like I'm murdering someone or about to murder someone. Okay, so this is quite simply, if they are a buffer, then we don't need as many of them, because I know for a fact that we're never gonna like. We have very few of them. In fact, we could even just instantiate like 5 of them. So instantiate the characters. So yeah, hold on. Determine number to spawn, and then here is where we actually instantiate them. So, and then where new character. Okay, so that would have to come above here. So we get the character, and I'll comment that out. Get the character. I guess we could go further with the matching name. Okay. Determine number to spawn. Fewer if buffer. We could also say... I mean, I think this could be as low as like 10. The thing is, like, if we do end up with more on screen than we should... yeah. Then like they would end up replacing each other. But I think halving it. I mean, again, we're just saving a few frames here and there like this, and then also if new character, and we need to know if they're tier 2 or not, and I don't know how we're going to do that. If new character dot combined, no. Yeah, unfortunately, we would have to like so we could find the character. I mean, this wouldn't be too hard. I'm just trying to think of a better way. So it would be upgrades dot get upgrade, new character dot name. So that should get the upgrade associated. So if it's a combo upgrade, we also need to spawn, like, I would say even divided by 4. So what we're saying is if it's a buffer, we're never going to see more like that many on screen. It's not going to be close to the max units, so we don't need to spawn as many. Fewer if, and yeah, this should all kind of live together. Fewer if tier 2. And then we don't have to instantiate so many, basically. That should work. And that's just going to save a little bit of time. And so every time, and so basically if we just call this code, it's going to like load the next wave of enemies. And we just kind of want to sneak this in everywhere we can. And I'm just going to put a little debug in there, just so we can see debug.log enemies loaded. Just so we can kind of track it as we play and have a look. And let's just see how this works. Because did you know that when you pick an allied unit, when you pick an ally, we instantiate like 50 of those allies for you as you press the button, basically. And it's not really noticed because we're just spawning like 50 units. Like the game, your computer isn't going to struggle to do that. It will struggle to do that 4 times suddenly. Like it, you know, it does get more noticeable later. So yeah, what we should have now is a much quicker loading screen at the start and seamless loading. Let's see how many mistakes I made while I was setting this up and what kind of problems we run into, and maybe let's have fun playing the game. Okay, straight away, problems. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. Okay, are you going to tell me more about that? So this is spawn character, spawn enemy. Okay, what's not set to an instance of an object? Okay, we'll get to the bottom of this. We'll figure this out. This is par for the course. I didn't expect... Well, it would have been very hopeful to assume that I was very clever and managed to make this first try. But yeah, of course, there's going to be problems. So hopefully this one's something simple that doesn't require me to have to rip out the carpet. Okay, so that's obviously happening when we try to spawn a goblin. And what's the problem? So it's not set to an instance of an object. So we actually haven't. I think that's what it's saying, is we haven't made that yet. So if we look in, I know what the problem is. I don't know if I should feel clever for figuring this out or stupid for letting it happen in the first place. But when we go to spawn here, an enemy spawner, to spawn ++. Oh, come on. Really? We're enemies to spawn. No. Enemies index. There we go. Enemies loaded index. That's the one I was looking for. Enemies loaded index. So of course, because we have this ++ at the beginning, what that's doing is we've skipped the goblin. We've gone straight to the archer. So we don't want to increase the index until we're actually finished with it. There we are. If it were the archer being spawned first, that would have been fine. But yeah, so simple error there. Rookie mistake. Easy fix. Because, yeah, it should start with enemies loaded, 0. So I just had that ++ in the wrong place. Okay. There we are. So far, so good. I mean, we've loaded some enemies, and that loading screen is much quicker now. Which will be nice for testing, actually, as well. And what we should hope to see, like, I expect to see... So, yeah, enemies loaded 4. So we've leveled up. Oh, yeah, I guess that's what I should be looking out for is when I level up, do we feel the sting of the level up? A little bit. A little bit. I felt the frames drop a little bit there. But it's not too bad. I think because they keep bouncing. I like these footprints. A little, they're sort of subtle. I kind of forgot they were there, so that's generally a good sign. Crossbow looks massive. I mean, yeah, so far so good. Oh. I think that cloud shadow... Okay, yeah, if it's a cloud shadow, because I think... Sorry, it's a minor issue, but the original is flipped, but the soft shadow underneath is not flipped. So when we generate scenery, this should be an easy fix. Very minor thing, but yeah, if we're flipping a shadow, we need to flip both. Flip X, and I think actually what I want to do. So I could say, yeah, hold on. Oh, okay, yeah, this was me being stupid. Trans dot. And this could cause issues. Because what if it has a thing in it that's not a sprite renderer? So we could just do a very quick trans if that is not null. Just in case. Again, this is just a bit that happens at the beginning, so it doesn't need to be too performant. It's not equal to null. Okay. Oh, I shouldn't have saved that because that was going to compile, but never mind. I mean, so like generally we're sort of safe. So yeah, we can get rid of that. Okay. So hide little chunks of loading in the level up screen. Merged waves into single list. Yeah, so that was just me starting to describe what I did here. So we merge waves into single lists of enemies. Into a single list of enemies, and we basically progress through that list. And there is a slight danger that we could not have reached the so you know, when it comes to loading the enemy number 10 in the list, like we might not have actually loaded them by the time we need them. And I kind of want... And that might be because you're intentionally avoiding XP. Which, of course, would be a very, very edge case. Doesn't mean I don't have to fix it, but that is very much an edge case. And yeah, now we have we suffer a little bit of... I mean, the alternative is just to try and kind of load it in the background. We could just have a coroutine that sort of tries to load them in the background. Because, yeah, we get a little bit of a time stop. You see? Like, it's a little bit of a stutter right before we level up. Which is not really... If I didn't tell you about it, you might not notice it. Let's just... See? It's very subtle. We could also just have a co-routine that like does it, and try and find a way to make it happen in the like make it happen slowly, basically. Like, don't do it all at once. Just kind of do it quietly in the background without messing with the frame rate. And basically just kind of subtly in the background load up to all enemies. Probably, you could probably get away with it in the first minute or so. Instead, we've got this like slight delay, slight stutter whenever we level up. Which is fine, that's a good place to hide a loading screen. But I'm wondering if there's even better ways. And yeah, looking at the list, that is kind of me until holiday. This is a fairly big one. Adding armor to our... so there's just artifacts which add armor to your attack or to your healing or something. And I'll need to like make those somehow. But so far so good. And I think it's telling us... So yeah, actually we don't need this. And this is telling us... So 9 is... just for reference. So 9 would be like Brawler. So we should be at the point of having the Brawler here. But we're like way ahead of it at this point. And yeah, you can just see that slight stuttering when we get to whenever we level up. It's not too unpleasant, I don't think. I think we can kind of get away with it. So yeah, there's our drummer, our zappers, they've all loaded in fine. So in principle this is working. It's just, yeah, it's a bit of that little stuttering. And also I just want to put in a little cheeky footstep. So don't come down if it's forced, but also don't make the footstep. If we're paused, because otherwise you end up with those big bits. They shouldn't be animating at all when paused, but this would just be a quick fix. Those little footsteps they're leaving, those little prints they're leaving is a new thing. Okay, so we're at enemy number 14 at this point. So we're already... So if we look at enemy spawner, we're at about here. So there's, 10, 14, yeah. So we're about here. So we're way before we expect that we're going to need them. I'm not thinking very much about what I'm picking, but... Yeah, I think that works. Like, this is definitely an improvement. Just speed up time a bit. Like, I don't expect to run into any issues here. I think we're pretty clean. How is the sound? Is it too loud? I feel like I'm having to shout over the characters. Okay, yeah. And then what the lovely thing we're going to notice, or I'm going to notice, so on heal, 10% chance to restore armor. That's pretty good. Except we don't have many armored units. On freeze, so we would want to get the armor talent on freeze. We definitely don't have a witch. I think this is the better one to get. So on heal, 10% chance to restore armor. And if I heal, then it should restore it for everyone. So we're going to want to unlock armor. But it's really nice not having that loading screen there. Okay. Okay. Here we go. So what's not set to an object? Okay. This is the artifact. Okay. Thank you for letting me know, monsieur. Hope you're doing well. Okay. So that artifact... So apparently we don't have a subject character. I think that's what it's saying. So why wouldn't we have a subject character? Or is it dead? Like, so when we heal... Character container, holy... What was that artifact? Yeah, just let me... I just wanted to mouse over that. Can we just turn off error pause for a second? Holy armor. Oof. Okay, let's not let that play again. Okay, so holy artifacts. Yeah, holy artifacts, there they are. So the healer, so if the healer is null, like, so run artifact outcome. I think if it's heal, we actually want to be looking at the object character. But we can also ask, is the subject character a player? If it's not... No, we want holy. That's... gain armor. So this would be the object character. This is the character who is healed. Get some armor. Is that what we have? Holy armor, was it, right? So yeah, so the outcome is restore armor. It's the person who was healed. I definitely need to sort some of this out. So, because basically, like, we have the subject and object character, but like in the case of a heal, I don't want it to be that the person who did the heal gets the benefit, like gaining armor or something. I want it to be the person who was healed who receives that. If that makes sense. So let's try that. So yeah, we've kind of done that, and that basically is a huge improvement. We've gotten rid of loading screens. Yeah, let's not. We've hidden the loading screen pretty successfully. Like, obviously, it's not great watching that little stutter. Like when you get a level up, but it's kind of like I don't think you would notice it if I didn't tell you about it. So I'm ready to go on holiday. No, I actually think there's a better way to do this. Now that I've done this, I think it might be as simple as so construct. How do we do this? Yeah, we load wave, and what that does is it initializes character containers. Okay, so what I want is for this to be a coroutine. Why? Because then I can make it not all happen at once. So I just say, wait till the end of the frame before starting the next one. I kind of worry that might just prolong it, but not soften it enough. Okay, what's this return? Can we just stop coroutine? or the coroutine stored in routine running. If I say stop coroutine, is that just this one? Like, okay, you know what? We'll do it. We'll do it the ugly way. So basically, if we can't find it, don't do it. Okay. And that will do them one by one. Hopefully without stuttering the game. It will just kind of be running in the background. Spawner. So yeah, instantiate item yes, not item container. So yeah, but this basically all this will do is it will just not try and do it all at once. So now I want to find all instances of that. So it happens in ally spawner, and so we just need to say start coroutine. Unfortunately, if you call a coroutine by just as in the same way that you would call a simple function, it doesn't give you a compile error, which means you can't easily find it. Okay, this is the old bit that we can delete safely. Instantiate the characters. Okay, so again, what's this one? Load wave. Okay, yeah, this is the important one. This is the main one. gm.c. Very annoying. Yeah. Okay, if this is for testing, just delete that for now. Okay, this is just to create the enemy hero. So yeah, sadly, we have to change this in quite a few spots. Never mind. So because we are in, because we're already in GM, we don't have to do anything else. Just Chicken Queen. God, haven't addressed the Chicken Queen for a long time. Chicken Queen is a very special character who, if you eat too many chickens, she will appear and she will try to fight you. But if you defeat her, you'll get some kind of reward. I just think that I don't know, maybe I should cut that. That's not really the tone of the game. I don't know. Sort of inspired by that thing in The Witcher where if you kill too many cows, the cow boss would come after you, and I just like that concept in general. And we have so much floor chicken, and you can make, there's a talent which makes chicken rain from the sky, which I think is quite funny and quite fun. Okay, so forgive me, but what did we change? We just made that a coroutine, and what we hope to happen is that it will just be a bit smoother. It will just, like, it won't cause the game to stutter. It will just take a few frames. So like instead of loading 50 characters in one frame, or attempting to load 50 characters in one frame, we're loading 50 characters in 50 frames. And 50 frames, you probably haven't even thought about which upgrade you're going to pick yet. So it's still quick. It's just should alleviate the slight stutter every time we level up. And I love that new loading time. It's very nice. Much, much quicker. Okay, everything's happening as it should. Okay, and yeah, let's get some more units. And I guess I want to see the level up happen. And I want it to not, I want to not notice the load times. I did invisible. I didn't notice it at all then. It just felt like we just came up immediately. Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool. So yeah, that's It's probably an unintentional. People are going to say, "Oh, I love the reference to Zelda," and I'm going to be like, "What?" I never really played those games. I still haven't. I haven't got. Yeah, there's no stutter. I still haven't got on a Switch or played any. I haven't played Mario Odyssey. Mario's like my dad. So I do. Mario taught me half of what I know. Do you know who taught me the other half? Sonic. But I haven't engaged with the new Nintendo. I don't know just the value proposition. Like if I get a PlayStation, and I know people laugh about PlayStation 5 not having access to a lot of games, and that's true, but I still got quite a few games on there compared to the Switch. I mean, I'm pretty sure the Switch has fewer games than the PlayStation. It's just it's got Mario Karts, your Mario Part, like it's got those and you just can't get those games anywhere else. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Nintendo for various reasons. I mean, I love Mario, I love all those games, but I don't think the Switch is a very good value proposition. The price to games ratio is just not good enough. Okay, well, we seem to be kind of sorted. So I'm gonna go a step. So now loading a wave of enemies is invisible. It happens in the background. It doesn't appear to interrupt gameplay. It can just happen in the background without us noticing. So I'm going to do something even more funky. So yeah, when enemies spawn in, it's just smooth as butter. So I'm going to do something even more funky, which will rule out the possibility. So what I was worried about is some nutcase might intentionally avoid XP and then load enemies who aren't ready to load yet, because of course we're loading each wave here at show level up. But I'm going to do something crazy. Oh, did I? Why did I comment this out? This seems like a good idea. Why would I get rid of that? That seems like a great place to clear garbage. Let's leave that there and see if it. We'll find out why I commented that out. Okay. So now what I want to do is I reckon here in Universal. So we can just collapse these. So these are the coroutines for each different faction, which may be further sorted. But yeah, I'm just gonna do something crazy. Yeah, we're gonna do. Yeah, public enumerator load enemies in background, something like that. We can change the name later if we don't like it. Okay. And here we simply put wait like 5 seconds. Every 5 seconds, load another one. Okay, and then we're going to do something else. We're going to take this logic and put it here. So we're going to say, don't do it again. If enemies loaded is greater than enemies.count, then... So if that's not the case, then do it again. Otherwise you can stop. And that might be off by 1. It either needs to be greater than, or it needs to be greater than or equal than, and I can just kind of keep changing it till I get it right. What's wrong with this? Okay. The universe is telling me just to make this afloat. Wait, hold on. Okay, so this would just be is less than rather than if it is not greater than. I suppose that makes sense. So if enemies loaded index is less than enemies.count, then run this again, right? And then so basically every 5 seconds we're like secretly loading the enemies while you're playing the early game where everything's pretty quiet. If we try and do it all in one frame, that's going to stutter the computer. But if we just say, look, every few seconds, just load another pack, load another wave of enemies, that should do it. We load a bunch at the beginning. But then here, so here in Universal, yeah, we can just also... and what that should do is just load the game. And I'm going to get better at this the more I make games. Because I think that is part of the art, is like, where do you hide the loading? And yeah, I think generally you try to hide the loading in the background while things are quiet. And you do it nice and slow. I reckon if I had like... yeah, so enemies loaded 3, enemies loaded 4. So we are like very seamlessly. 5. And next one, please. Okay, what did I do wrong? Why isn't that repeating? So it seems like it's done 1. Ah, again, of course, because I've used it like a function. And I really wish there was a warning about that. Because if you just say, like, if I just go spicy beans, do that. That does nothing at all. The script does 0, and yet it doesn't give me a compile error. I wish that would give me a compile error, or at least a warning to let me know that I'm trying to call a coroutine by simply naming it rather than starting the coroutine. So that should mean that it continues on. And what we should end... so hopefully, and I think this is pretty bloody clever. I don't know. This is either clever or I was stupid before. One of the two. Either way, this is a good upward line. We started the day with pressing play, having a fairly chunky loading screen here, which is now a very light loading screen, and having a loading screen every time you hit the 5-minute mark. Whereas now, there is no loading screen in the game. And also, it doesn't stutter. Oh, that stuttered. Let's see. Let's see if that happens next time. Okay, but yeah, we're just quietly loading these groups in the background. The level up seems to... Do we keep it in the level up? It feels like we're still... Ah, it's because of this. It's because of this. Because we're doing a garbage collection there. It is eating a couple frames. So what that's going to mean is that your RAM isn't going to suffer over time. But I think it's probably... I don't know what would get eaten by that. But I think this is going to be... I don't know. Which one is it? Like, because... yeah, if we can tell the game to do its garbage collection at this point, then that's a good place to put it. I think a good place to put it, actually, is not here. But, here. Artifact UI. So when you get an artifact, this will be every... excuse me. Every 5 minutes, you get an artifact. And that's going to mean that, yeah, it's just as opposed to it happening while you're doing the gameplay and just going easy on your RAM and stuff like that. Like, I think that's just a good practice. I noticed a little, and it's a very minor detail, but in Black Myth Wukong, I found that if I've been playing for more than a couple hours, which is quite normal, then there'd be certain points where the game regularly stutters. The main ones are like before the like whirlwind rat boss at the end of the desert level, kind of just running up to his boss fight, I would consistently find like a few frames dropped, but only after I've been playing for a while. And I figure what that must be is the game like emptying the cache, like we've hit the limit of so it's every time I do that, it's like having to delete something in the background. And I wonder if like doing some kind of manual or, you know, scripted flushing of the system every now and then would deal with that. I don't know. I mean, I think what they're obviously much better at what they do than I am, I think. But well, anyway, this is a huge achievement. This has taken quicker than I thought it would, and is actually more functional than I hoped it would be, because we now have a setup where we basically deleted our loading screens. We've successfully hidden them. So I'm pleased about that. And like we're already at enemies loaded 21. We should get to, so like we're way ahead. Like there's no chance that we're gonna there's no chance that we're not gonna like have the units loaded by the time we need them. Absolutely zero chance. And as you can see, can we just watch this get populated in the background? So enemy container, and as you can see, so what we should see, yeah, then we've got a Goblin Archer level 3 is there, ready to go for when we need them. The Zapper level 3 is now ready, way before we need them. And the Fire Starter's ready, Orc level 3, Goblin level 3, Baller level 3, Drummer level 3, and we don't need as many of them. And I don't feel like it's messing with gameplay at all. This is all just happening in the background. And you can see them. So yeah, Shaman level 3, Bomber level 3. Okay, so now we're loading the... Oh wait, so... Shaman, we don't need that many Shamans. So I thought I had told... Ah, I know why. It's because this is level 3. Okay, so... I mean, not that it's necessary. But yeah, we don't need that many Shamans. So... We don't need that many Shamans. Wait, are we... Jeez, we don't need to reference ourselves there. So enemies loaded. Yeah, I'd say this is a clever bit of coding I've done today. This is brainy stuff that is very useful. We have done loading in the background. So anyway, so how do we judge whether something is tier 2? I think it's by the level. So let's just have a quick gander at characters, and if we just look at, so not heroes, but like tier 2, level 4, level 4, level 4, level 3. Okay, so it's the tier 2 units are level 3 or 4. So that's actually going to be easier. So if tier 2, if new character dot level is greater than 2. That should do it. Then we don't need nearly as many of them. But there we are. We've got all of these units just sitting there waiting, way ahead of time. And we're either going to, once it gets to the end, we're either going to get a little bug or it's just going to stop. I mean, 62. Is that all of them? I mean, yeah, that's Blade Master 4. If I look here in enemy spawner, yeah, that's Blade. So that's all of them. So we did Chief. Yeah, we've loaded all the units. And then it stopped. I'm in trouble here. Let's see if we can recover. This will be fun. Alright, yeah, let's... So I'm basically that's me for the summer. This is all I wanted to achieve today, and I'm not going to start any new things. We've already got that combo. Let's get some boots. So yeah, it's not continuing to load units, nor has it missed the last one by accident. So that is correct. So we're not going to have to trial and error that one. That just worked, which is lovely. Yeah, let's get the knight. Okay. And yeah, the packs spawn in beautifully. And now we've done all the loading that there is to do. There's no more loading to be done. There is no more loading to be done. So we're not going to have to deal with... So then when this guy shows up... Oh, the speaking... The speaking orc has slightly different color. So yeah, then we just, like, he appears, we get our little scene. So then I can have a combat with the boss man, which is quite satisfying. I find those bits quite exciting. I think that's quite fun. And then for our troubles, we get a chest. And yeah, that's it. On Thursday, I'm going to the Isle of Wight for a little holiday. And then my youngest is going to start school. And oh, before I go, one of the last things I wanted to do was finish Black Myth Wukong. I think I'm near the end. I just did the area with... like, basically, I'm fighting two monkeys. One of them's icy and one of them is like, I guess kind of like electric, geostorm, whatever. Yellow magic. So I think I'm probably 2 or 3 bosses away, hopefully, from finishing the game. And I would like to finish that before I go on holiday for a week. And I'm going to try and record... Oh, okay, so there's our artifact. And then we've done our clean. So... maybe we could have a little build up there, but yeah, maybe we shouldn't do that clear cache or whatever it is. Okay, on electrocution. Okay, so because this is just a very minor one. The humans don't have access to electric magic; they only have access to fire and ice magic. So electrifying would need to have electrifying dot excluded factions equals new list string open brackets strint Yeah, I think it's just the humans who don't have access to electric, and then freezing the orcs do not have access to this, and burning the undead do not have access to this. As undead, and that would also go for, so this is just very, very minor little things. This would also go for the deaths. So we just, yeah, because, so that would be burning deaths, not accessed by the undead. They don't have fire. The freezing, the orcs don't have access to ice magic. And yeah, the humans don't have access to electric magic, which seems a bit cruel, but I like that sort of weird symmetry. Kind of made things easier as well. We've got like 80 weapons in the game, but quite a lot of those weapons are the magic, but for the other faction, and it is the same thing. So it's not really 80 weapons, more like 60, I think. And of course, more like 35 per. Well, actually, that's per faction. So yeah, there's a lot of weapons, but some of them are copies. Okay. Artifacts. Yeah, like holy artifact. So like on heal subject exceptions, because basically I'm a little bit worried that when you heal a unit they get a buff. Are we definitely saying they get a buff, or are we saying that the person who did the healing gets a buff, right? And I just need to double check that, so that we do have this here of just, we need to go through each artifact and just make sure they've been accounted for. And yeah, let's just get rid of these debugs since we've got this to work. And I'm very pleased, to be honest. We have successfully hidden loading screens. So what is the lesson then? Because I had this idea of loading at the beginning or loading at sort of certain chunks and trying to do a bunch in a row. I think for a game like this, yeah, you want to use object pooling and you want to like load your enemies in a chunk. I don't think you should do it at the start of the game, because that will make the loading screen too long. I don't think you should. And then what I did is I broke it up into 4 chunks. But really what you want, and this could be more sort of standardized, I think. You could use this for a bunch of games where you just have a script that just says like every 5 seconds, like load little bits in a way that doesn't slow down the game. So you use coroutines and you do like a yield return null. You say wait until the end of the frame, do each one, and subtly load things in the background. Again, waiting until the end of the frame means that the coroutine will not try and do 100 things in the same frame. It will wait for the end of the frame, as it said. Yeah, we should be good. So I'm very pleased with that. And I think I've learned something that I can take into other projects. And yeah, that's basically it. We are done. I think I'm going to have a quick smoke. And then I guess I'll do a balancing run of the game. Although, until we fix the artifacts. I'm happy with armor. I was unsure about armor and how it worked. And is it strong enough? Is it too strong? Is it like a viable mechanic? And I'm happy with it. It's not much. It's disappointing, and I guess it feels kind of bad when you get hit by a goblin and you lose all your armor in one go. But it is meant to just be like a damage mitigation. And does it charge up fast enough? I think it does, just about. If you don't get hit for a bit, you get your armor back. Yeah, we've got a lot of artifact fixing to do, but I kind of like as we run into them, we'll fix them, and we'll get into the lab and sort out this subject object exceptions. The main one is just for healing, I think. The rest are fine, so it's probably just going to be make an exception for healing, and then test and fix enemy. Well, we've done that. We've done that. That works fine. That I like the way that works. So we just need to test and fix all stages. But again, like all of the stages kind of work. I guess we could look at the arena. I expect that there's going to be problems in how the enemies are spawned. Certainly in the arena, that's the one I've just really not tested at all. That has quite different rules. But I don't want to like start on any of this stuff. And yeah, the Demon Palace, like I haven't even tried it. Let's give the arena a go. Oh, I love those quicker loading times. That's going to make testing and development much easier. Oh, I love this. I love the vibe. This might be like how we should do all the levels. Just straight away, I just love the way this feels. And yeah, the background's just black. Like, I think that's fine. Yeah, we need to fix the floor. All the units just need to be a bit higher up. The shadow's weird there, but I guess that's fine. Alright. And it's quite fun just having my guys from the left, your guys from the right. Let's go. I want to see what happens when one team starts to dominate. Like, does it just end up being janky? Does it work? Let's see. Because, yeah, now we're just kind of spawn camping them. I don't know if that's desirable. Like, if it just turns into spawn... I think it is just going to turn into spawn camp every time. Let's see what happens. Let's see how it goes. Because hopefully the orcs will be able to kind of push us back a bit. I don't know what's going to happen once waves start spawning, or if they spawn at all. We'll notice fairly quickly if that's the case. Packs, I mean, not waves. Okay, yeah, just spawn camping now. So I don't love it. I don't love the spawn camping. Just while I'm here, I can do this in the prefab without... What was this? We do want error pause. Okay. Ah, so that's going to stop the thing from happening. Okay, it's spawn point dot animator is not equal to null. Okay, we're going to have to try that again if we want to see the spawning. So yeah, I'm going to have a quick smoke and then we'll sort of muck around until 3 o'clock, I guess, and then I'll leave it there. let's have a little play and try and like leave the game in a good state before we go. I mean, obviously, yeah, we have these levels to sort out, to like test them all. I'm fairly confident the what's it called, the Demon Palace is going to work fine. Okay, so these guys, like, the shadows go like under. Not really sure why, but I can fix it very easily just by grabbing all of them and moving them up a bit. So then their shadows won't like end up in the floor. And yeah, I mean, like, so when I say testing the levels, this is kind of a game design and coding thing. Because essentially what I'm trying to do is just make sure that the spawn points and just that it works. Like, I expect the, like, for example, the bridge, enemies spawn from the right, allies from the left. The Demon Palace is the same, except they spawn from the south, from the north, with allies from, like, near you. Except you're going up instead of to the right. So I expect it to work. And the arena is just like, how is it going to work logistically when we're spawning packs of enemies? So there we go, except it's a bit annoying. What's going on? Okay, is it because that sprite? I see, the black triangles. So let's go into the prefab. So we can change this for good. So yeah, if we are in this prefab, I don't know why that's not showing up like this, but I feel like what needs to happen is these need to be -1. No? -2? Okay, I'm messing with the prefab, not the actual thing. So let's go to the... Let me just double check that this is actually what I need to be doing. So we go... stages... black triangles... Should be... What if they're -1? Yeah, that works. Okay, let's just have... What if they're -2? That also works, so I won't bother changing that. Okay, and the shadows are above. I mean, the shadows don't morph to the ground so well, but I think it's better than not having them. And let's see how we do. So I will earnestly do my best to win. And I'm wondering if this is going to end up being like a spawn camp situation. I need to not die. But this is quite interesting. I can just kind of retreat, let my armor come back. Just takes a while. And then immediately disappears as soon as I get hit. So maybe armor does need to be tuned a little bit differently. Let's get the spear because we have a combo there. Now I can be slightly more aggressive, but I still need to be careful until I've healed up sufficiently. I think on easier settings, by default, you're going to heal a lot more on level up. Okay, looter feels redundant here because we don't need someone to collect items for us. So let's just get rations. Let's get some... I always neglect survivability. Okay, well, a pack did spawn. I didn't see them spawn, but those wolves come in packs. And I am really like a couple hits away from dying. Spit, yeah. So I need to level up to heal, and I probably need to get like a healing staff or something. I guess let's get some more survivability. Just because that feels like what I need right now. And I like this kind of push and pull from the left and right. I can kind of retreat. The wolves are... No! I should have just used the heal cheat. But never mind. Okay, let's do that again. I mean, I like the way it starts. There is a skill to like how you do the beginning, because you do need to like balance your aggressiveness. You don't want to get killed, but also if you're not aggressive, then your units get killed instead. And what you want is to build up that momentum, get a nice big glob of units. We could just get a healer. Let's get a healer. One of the balancing things, like a big issue with the game, is I don't want healing to be effectively mandatory by the balancing of the game. I want healing to be optional. I want healing to just be one route of many. Let's XP bar. Okay. Okay, I guess Bannerman's an interesting pick here. Let's go with Bannerman. But now that we have healing, it allows me to be much more aggressive, because now when I'm in trouble, I can just like retreat. I do love the aesthetic of the level. I love the feel of it. Okay, yeah, so we could go for like paladins and blacksmiths. Let's do that. And I want to get into a situation where we're like spawn camping the enemy and just see how that plays out. See if we kind of, eventually get pushed back. I want to see like pushing back and forth. I don't want it to be that we're spawn camping the enemy so they have no chance to build up any momentum. That's what I don't want. And I don't want to get sandwiched here either, because if a big pack of enemies spawns, I don't want to be mushed into them. But yeah, this doesn't feel like tons of fun. There's ways to mitigate it. You could make it so that... Oh, that priest looks stuck. No, he's fine. There's ways to mitigate it. Like, we could have both enemies and allies spawn from any of the entrances. I don't know what that will do for the game, but... okay, let's go with the spear. But this doesn't... Okay, so there's a pack. And they kind of... They came out quite naturally, and they did their business. So that's not terrible. But obviously, it's going to be different when we see it at scale. Okay, let's get Mania. So yeah, we're full on spawn camping, which isn't the most exciting gameplay. But let's see how it develops. Yeah, it's interesting. I do think the footprints are a nice addition. So yeah, I mean, this level doesn't feel great. I mean, it's not part of the mainline level, but... Okay, so he has ended up outside of the arena, which is obviously not desirable. And why is he not getting returned? So yeah, we need to do that. Active character is not dead. What's this? Interesting. Okay, so... so when we spawn the boss... so that would be... So that's for the dialogue. And then... So then this is probably an enemy spawner. Okay, yeah, so here we go. Spawn enemy, enemy heroes dot names. Interesting. And then when we spawn from a spawner, so I think it did spawn them from any spawn point. Except because he was so big or something, he got like stuck on the outside. So I think what that means, and if we look at this object, so if we just take any random door, and the actual spawner, yeah, I think should just be a little bit out. So the spawner would be a bit further out. Fixed by just make this clear to my future self in about a week's time. Be super clear of what I mean. Guess luck. Okay, well, the things have balanced out a bit with the arrival of the boss there, sort of push things back into balance. But if I was doing really well, there'd always still be the chance of us still spawn camping. So let's see how this plays out. freeze, chance to restore armor. Well, we passed that, but on block we do have... Oh no, we don't have shield bearers. Okay, so neither of these are relevant to me. Okay, let's get armor. Yeah, I mean, I think this level might be too quick to devolve into spawn camping, which I'm not too happy about. Let's see. I mean, it might just make this level super easy. So, consider or try... Try with enemies and allies spawning at any spawn point. So if the enemies were like spawning there too, we'd have kind of like a wider net to catch. But then we probably still would just end up like spawn camping them, which just isn't fun for either party, I don't think. Wait, hold on. We didn't have a shield. Bomber death rattle working? Because I feel like we should have had an explosion for when the bomber died. So yeah, if it was like enemies and allies spawning from like any entrance, I think it might feel a bit less spawn campy. I mean, these boss units are still able to like wreck a bunch of us. So okay, we've sort of achieved balance again. This is nice. Yeah. So now we're having to retreat a bit. Okay, this is very good news. This means that we have balance. Oh, hello. He's stuck outside. Okay, so... enemies can get stuck completely outside arena. Make returners bigger. And considered that they might end up all the way outside of there. So that's a problem. Okay, yeah. So that warlock got a chance to... Yeah, and so he got kicked out of the... Oy. He got kicked out of the level, but then got returned and brought to another random spawn point. Okay, so I need to back up a bit. Try and get some heals, but not too much. I need to still keep fighting, but I'm going to die. I'm going to lose. Chicken! Yummy, yummy chicken. Okay, but here comes another warlock, and he's gonna end it. So far from like, oh, great sword. Oh, oh. Okay. Come on. Yes, yes. I'm still alive. I'm still alive. Oh god. I think we're gonna lose though. Okay, let's try and get this batch of archers. Yeah, bang, bang. Oh god, I'm gonna die though. I'm gonna die from this fire. Damn it. Damn it. Okay, so... Yeah, that was interesting. I think this level can be salvaged. I think there is something to it. But at least the balancing is kind of the same as it would be, and I think even the fact that the enemies like appear straight away, I think the arena slightly favors melee. But yeah, as long as we can keep enemies from like getting stuck outside of the ring, then yeah, that level should work. I'm actually quite pleased with how that turned out. What is this? 120 artifacts pool dot count. Okay, yeah, that was for a debug. Active character not dead. That one scares and baffles me. But yeah, we are pretty much we're done for the holiday. So I'm going to come back. I need to sort out, make sure all the levels work, but they're made at least. It's just little bits that we can do to smooth them out. Then we would need to do skill trees and whatnot, and then the big one is the UI glow up, which is going to be hopefully the first thing I do when I get back, and that's going to completely change. That's obviously going to massively improve the game, and yeah, making sure all the artifacts work, and then yeah, basically just like playing the game. We need to make the towns for the, so we've done the orc and the human towns. We need the undead and the demon towns. Which won't take too long, I don't think. And then we're like, it's just the story. And the story's fairly straightforward. It's just basically missions and dialogues and the odd bit that happens, like, while you're playing the game, like, something should change in you know, like fun things happening in the map, like scripted events of big hordes appearing on either side. Like, it would be quite fun if you're, like, doing the first level and you kind of play... And it's like fairly desperate, but then like a horde of archers appears and says, "We're here to help," and they just appear and start shooting the enemy, and you know they can die after that. But I think that'll be fun moments for the story and little cutscenes, like when the demon tower appears. I want to see it like rise out of the ground on the map, and in some kind of like sort of Super Mario like cutscene with the castle, you know, where the castle melts in Super Mario and goes down. Something similar to that. But it's, you know, for the demons appearing, and we're sort of, yeah, I mean, I think I should have the game done by the end of the year, which would be really nice. So, yeah, all right. Yeah, I'm going to end the stream there. So thanks very much anyone who joined. Really appreciate the support. I might do a little stream tomorrow. We'll see, but probably not. So I'll be back next week, I think like Wednesday. So, you know, just a short holiday, but... So yeah, hope you've all had a great summer. Hope you're all having a great end to the summer. And yeah, this was a really great work session. We deleted the loading screens. Like, maybe it was stupid that the loading screens was there in the first place, but that's still a good thing to not have them. So yeah, thanks very much. I will be back next week. Cheers. Bye.